Today's episode requires a small content warning. This episode contains mentions of physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual assault, and an incest-based relationship. Each is only a brief mention, but is still one that required a warning. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. Come to me, Father. Set my flesh to your unholy purpose. Orin the Red. Welcome, humble adventurers, to my realm of knowledge and mystery. Here, in my cursed library, are endless tomes and scrolls on the darkest and evilest foes in all the realms, be they from Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, the many worlds of darkness, or any realm in between. Welcome to the Dastardly decimal system. I'm your caretaker of the corrupt, the librarian, Castor Cain. Being the daughter of a famous hero must be a difficult task. They're constantly bombarded with questions like, will they live up to the great hero? Will they take up their parents' cause? Will they ever be as good as their parents were? But I wonder if being a daughter of a villain is worse. Not only do you get the same struggles as a hero, but you must also wonder if your parents are even capable of love. And if so, do they even actually love you? Or are you simply a pawn to their machinations? Take a seat as I brew us some changeling tea. It is a brew that tastes like a wildflower and hay meadow. It is supposed to aid your body as it undergoes rapid changes. So let me pour you a cup as we dive back into the Anchev family tree to talk about Sarevok's daughter, Orin the Red. Orin has pale, blue-gray skin with swirling, smoke-like plumes of red undulating across it. Her eyes are a dull shade of gray, contoured by dark eyeliner, giving her a menacing, intimidating look. Her straw-colored, braided hair falls to the back of her knees in a fashion reminiscent of a flail. Her armor is bright blood red, rigid and rough like chitin. She adorns her head with an ornate silver tiara with the centerpiece shaped in the form of a personed supplicant, a single crimson gem giving her appearance some color. Orin carries with her an arsenal of magical items. Her main weapons were Bloodthirst, a dagger that made its victims vulnerable to piercing damage, and Crimson Mischief, a legendary piercing short sword that dealt more damage to an already bloodied foe. She also wears a unique ring that allows her to rapidly retreat from danger. Orin is a cruel, sadistic woman. Her demeanor is immature and somewhat childish. When plans do not go her way, she angers and loses composure. She likes to enact small, rebellious acts against the authority figures in her life, and enjoys toying with her victims. In a weird, artistic fashion, she finds sadistic pleasure in taunting her victims with the gory details of her past deeds. As a changeling, Orin can take the form of any person she chooses. Her disguises are impeccable and undetectable. While impersonating another, she will initially be able to mimic their personality. Over time, however, her true nature tends to break through. She is often unable to contain her bloodlust, resulting in her becoming more openly violent and sadistic, invoking threats and fantasies of extreme violence and grotesque brutality before shifting back into her base appearance. The origins of Orin Anchev are not pleasant ones. Sarevok Anchev, a great evil in his own right, bred a doppelganger and produced Helena Anchev, his daughter. Sarevok manipulated his daughter and twisted her mind until she would obey him without question. In an effort to create a pure ball spawn for sacrifice, Sarevok lay with his own daughter and produced Orin and Chev. Orin was raised to think that Sarevok was her grandfather, Helena was her mother, and the god Baal himself was her divine father. Despite Sarevok routinely mistreating and abusing his daughters, both Helena and Orin worshipped and loved him. They endured his physical and emotional abuse alongside the other hardships of growing up as a Baalite, all in a desperate plea for his approval. When Orin was only 8 years old, Sarevok ordered Helena to murder her. Despite the love she held for her own daughter, Helena obeyed. One day, while the child played alone, Helena attacked. Surprisingly, the assassination attempt failed. Sarevok found Orin alive, playing with the severed head of her mother, gleefully bathing in the blood. This action caught Baal's attention and earned his favor. Baal deemed the young changeling exceptional and ordered Sarevok to look after her. As Orin grew older, her training increased. She underwent the brutal and bloody training of Baal, in time becoming the youngest unholy assassin to ever follow the god of murder's path. Yet despite all of her skills, loyalty, and status, Orin found herself dismissed and looked down upon by both her presumed father and her actual one. So she patiently waited, knowing her chance would come to earn their approval. Orin the Red served Baal under the direct command of the chosen known only as the Dark Urge. This was a white dragonborn sorcerer. Despite them working together, the two were often at odds. Orin believed that murder should be a form of art. It should be done with beauty and consideration. She thought that Dark Urge simply mutilated their victims without any consideration. But the chosen knew better. They knew that Baal cared more for the quantity of murders over the quality. During this time, Dark Urge allied himself with the Chosens of Bane and Merkel, the other two gods in the Dead Three. Together, the trio began a plan to steal the crown of Karsus and use it to subjugate the Elder Brain. Orin joined the three on their raid of the Moonrise Towers, but it was not to provide assistance. It was to strike. During the raid, Orin saw her opportunity. She stabbed a dagger deep into Dark Urge's skull and placed a mind flayer tadpole within them. Then she took over as Baal's chosen. Working with the remaining two, they continued their assault. Orin would slay any who got in her way, outright murdering some while horrifically torturing others. She even kidnapped the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate, Uldur Ravengard, and planted a mind flayer tadpole in his eye. Eventually, the three chosen were able to subjugate the Elder's Brain and order the Illithid army to march on Baldur's Gate. Orin would prove to be undisciplined in her role as a chosen. Her bloodlust was not something easily contained. She rapidly grew to be disliked by the other two, who originally saw her as little more than a necessary nuisance to their plan. However, as her bloodlust grew even greater, even that patience had long since evaporated. Now, as it tends to happen in Baldur's Gate, whenever there is a crisis, a hero emerges. For this crisis, a hero, sometimes known as Tav, rose as the defender of Baldur's Gate. His actions also caught the eye of both the Chosen of Baal and the Chosen of Bane. Orin set out to spy on the hero, using her changeling abilities to take multiple appearances in order to have contact with them. The Chosen of Bane, however, chose a much different approach. Enver Gortash came to the party, tired of Orin's theatrics and unreliability, and offered to join forces in order to destroy the Netherbrain. Bane wished to control Baldur's Gate. Orin and the Netherbrain simply wanted to destroy it. Gortash also warned the party that Orin had breached their camp, kidnapped an ally, and had been masquerading as them. As Tav rushed out to rescue their friend, they found themselves deep within the altar of Baal. At first, they found Orin to be jovial and sadistic, relishing in the torture she was currently inflicting on Tav's ally. But as they cast Speak with Dead on the corpse of Helena Anchev, the truth slowly began to emerge. The corpse revealed that Helena's attack on Orin was all by Sarevok's bidding. And worse still, Baal was not her father, Sarevok was. The moment the words reached her ears, Orin's confidence and vicious demeanor shattered. Suddenly, the unwavering loyalist was doubtful of her place. Why had she given such loyalty to not one, but two men who had lied to her and betrayed her? Was she just the plaything for both of them? Would Sarevok or Baal ever truly accept her? Breaking down before Tav's eyes, Orin lost the motivation to fight and decided to free Tav's ally. Baal, however, had other ideas. Speaking to her from a giant skull in the back of the room, the god of murder ordered her to attack. When Orin refused, the evil god took control of her body. In a horrific scene, the god brutally and unnaturally twisted and morphed Orin's body, until she took the form of Baal's avatar, the Slayer. The last look upon Orin's face as it morphed was one of true and genuine fear, a first for the unholy assassin. Orin the Red was one of the most sadistic and bloodthirsty individuals to have ever graced the Sword Coast. To her, murder was an art and fear was an afterthought. She was devoted to Baal, and nothing could cause a wavering in that. In fact, the only people she truly respected, or whatever her form of respect was, were those that gave Baal the proper respect, like Sarevok. Yet all of this was but a shield that maybe she even herself was unaware she was carrying. It was a method to hide her true longing, because deep down, much like her father, her true desire was to be accepted by Baal and to find a place where she truly belonged. It seems that our tea has once again run dry, which means our time is up. Join me again in my library for more stories and lore about the darkest villains from the darkest realms. This has been the Dastardly Decimal System. Once again, I'm your librarian, Castor Cain. Do you love the Dastardly Decimal System and want to support us? Check out our new Patreon! Members will get access to show notes, official artwork, and our new bonus episode series called Cleaning Up After Tea Time. And of course, plenty of cat pics of Vega voice actors, Vash and Zid. And you'll even be able to suggest a topic for a future episode. Check it out at patreon.com/Dastardly Decimal System. If you're not financially able and still want to support us, please suggest the show to a D&D loving friend. It really helps us get noticed. Thank you. Sorry about that. The Dastardly Decimal System can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at DD System Podcast. That's Delta Delta System Podcast. Drop us a message and say hi. Vega always loves the attention. This podcast was produced by Midnight Reading Audio, a division of Midnight Reading Publishing. The voice of Castor Cain is Larry Gent. Hi. The voice of Vega is provided by my cats Vash and Zid. Music was Poison in the Veins by Alper Omer Ezen from Pixabay, licensed under the Creative Commons. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.